Okay, so we are ready to start assembling our gearbox, and we are currently in the, the gearbox. We're just going to rename our assembly. So we'll right click on the assembly and we are going to give it the part, our numbering system, A02 gearbox. So it's easy to identify. And what we're going to do is we're going to start right here. So this side, the right side, is the side that's going to be pressed up against the rail. So this is the side where we're going to start putting things in. And first thing we're going to put in is our bearings. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for other documents and public MKCAD. I have also put MKCAD in here just so that it's a little bit quicker to pull in, and just need to find the bearings. There's the bearings in the Part Studio, and you can see you can configure it. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a 1/2 inch hex, flanged, so there's our bearing, and that one will click in there, and then we'll add another one, is our 3/8 inch hex flanged, and that's that one. So with our bearings we are going to fasten them in, and so this is where we want to make sure that we're getting the center of the flange part, and we will stick that right in the center of this part right there, and make sure that it's going the right way. So the flange should be on the inside, so that the idea is it's not going anywhere. And we have this flange right here, so we will add another fasten mate for that. And that one's going to go up here. And again, we'll just flip it so that it's the right way. So there's our bearings. The next thing that we're going to have is we're going to have a pulley right here. So we're going to insert, and from other documents I have put Sam's West Coast Drive presentation, and in here there is the custom pulley. I believe I just passed it. And so this pulley is going to be 1 wide, and the width is set for the width of the belt, and we're not going to have much of a spacer, so we'll just generate that and we'll click it in there. And one thing that I am going to do is I'm going to modify these pulleys so that way we have, within the name, we know how many teeth there are, because that will make life a little bit easier here. So here's our pulley. We're going to fasten this right here too, so we'll take that, and we just need to find the center of the pulley, and there it is. So that fits nicely. That's great. So we have our pulley. The next stage is, let's just pop over to the Part Studio. So our 4th gear is going to be on the other side of that pulley, and that's the 48 tooth. So what we will do is we will insert, and again, other documents, MKCAD, and we're looking for 48 tooth gears. So here's the MKCAD gears, and this one is going to be on a 1/2 inch. So let's look at our options here. So there's our 40 tooth. So there we go. And while we're in here, we might as well add our other gears as well. So gear number 3 was 16. So oops, recently opened. and I said, so the 16 is going to be on our 3/8 inch shaft. Now I don't know if I have steel or aluminum ones, so I always try to use the heavier ones so that hopefully at the end of the day I'll be dealing with lighter. Great, so here's my pulley, so I'm going to mate the pulley and make sure that you get this. Now I am not going to worry about lining up, whoops, not what I wanted to do, so let's just do that again. There we go, so there's that one. And I'm not going to worry about lining up the hex shaft. I do need to flip that so that it's on the right side out. The reason being is it's time consuming. It's hard to do. And so if I can just quickly throw this in and have things line up, then that just solves me a lot of grief. So that's what I'm aiming for here. So my pulley here, or this gear here, this gear is going to get put in place to there. Now, there's going to be an offset here, but I'll just work that out in a moment. And what I want to do is I'm just going to hide the plate because I want this to be offset so that they're the same distance apart. And what I'll do is then I'll design a spacer that will space everything. So when I click the two faces, I can see my parallel distance is 0.916. So now when I go into my fasten mate, I can offset that. That's going to be offset Z. And you can see what I'm doing is just going the other direction just to make sure that I'm lining things up. So that lines that up. That's perfect. And obviously I'm going to need to put a spacer in there so that everything fits the way I want it to. So let's bring back my hex, bring back my pulley. So these teeth should be intersecting, and they're not. So I'm just going to do a double check here, and this is a 40 tooth and a 16 tooth. And let's just go back to here. This should have been a 48 tooth, so no wonder they're not meshing. So, but the bonus is this is configurable, so I can just right-click, change configuration, and instead of 40 teeth, I can scroll down to 48. And there we go. Configuration is changed. Now, as you can see, the teeth are intersecting with each other. So I can rotate around the Z. Oh, what I can do is just line it up. So that was 5 degrees, 6 degrees. And 11 degrees. And there we go. That should mesh fairly nicely. So there is my last stage, and now I'm going to want another piece here, but while I'm working on this, what I'll do is I'll just create a part in context, so I can create my spacer. So what I'll do is that I will create the spacer using that as my surface. So I've created a sketch. I'm going to select other, and I'm going to select the edge of that. And I will use that. And I'm going to create a hexagon here. Six sides, and this is 3/8. So what I try to do is 3/8 plus 0.01. That's 0 plus 0.01 is really, really crucial. And I've got a bit of an error here. What I'm trying to do is figure out why that error occurred. And I just deleted that error. So basically I had moved it so that midpoint lined up, and that was my problem. So there we go. I seem to have that part done, and I will extrude that sketch. And my depth was I'm just going to give it a second here. What I'm going to do, for the sketch, what I'll do is I'll go up to face. And this is the beauty, is that I can select that face. And just like that, I've got the perfect measurement, and I don't need to work it out. I can just include it, and there we go. So I better name this. I'm going to do up the part numbers once I'm at the end, so I'll just apply that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign material. And I like using ABS because it's pretty solid materials, and that indicates to me that it's going to be 3D printed, so that's great. So I'll insert that. And that's in place. And what I'll do is I'll just simply take that and the pulley, and I'll group them together so that way they're positioned and I don't need to worry about them moving, so that they're locked in place. Now I can add my next gear, and if I go back to so this should be gear 2, which is a 50-tooth gear. So let's go back to MKCAD, and our gears, there's our gears. And again, this is on my 3/8, so I'll just pick that. And there's my 50-tooth. And just move it there for now. There's my fasten mate. And I'm going to fasten it so that it's on the same shaft as this. And it takes a little finagling sometimes to make sure things are lined up. And again, I'll just offset, flip that, and there we go. So there's my other gear. There's no interference, so that's good. The big question for me is just positioning this. What I'm looking for is making sure that my shaft is not going to interfere with any teeth, and that looks good. So that should be excellent. Okay, so I seem to have what I need, which is great. I'm going to insert . another plate. And with this plate, so I need to figure out what circle I'm connecting to. And that's the wrong way around. There we go. Now I am whoops. The gear should not be inside the plate, so something's wrong with that. Okay, now the biggest problem is that I'm going to just delete that. But the key reason I'm deleting is I've now got it in position, so that's great. And what I can do is I can copy these gears. So there's my 1/2 inch hex gear. And that, the 1/2 inch is my output, so that's going to go right there. Flip it. And there's my 3/8, so I'll copy that, right click copy, and paste. And I will take this and that's going to mate right there. And again, I just need to flip it. Using the flip allows me, I don't have to fiddle around with turning things. I can just be nice. And now there's the center of that bearing, and that's going to get paired with this. And this is why I deleted that fasten mate, so that I could make sure that the spacing is accurate. So there we go. I've got my spacing. Something looks askew, and that's probably to do with the rotation. So I'm just gonna, yeah, remember I rotated one of those things, so I'm just gonna cancel that. Let's just move that back a bit. And I will try fastening. Actually, what I will do is undo. Okay, so things are not lining up, so that's going to be a bit of an issue, but there's a couple strategies that are really useful. So one of the strategies is I'm just going to click these two lines, and this is 11 degrees. Okay, so I've got it fastened now. And what I can do is I can do an offset. That should be around the z-axis. Let's just make sure we're going the right direction. Green, and I'm going the wrong direction. So I will just change that to -11. There we go. And everything lines up perfectly, which is what I was aiming for. So I've got this in there. I need to add my motor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a sim motor. So under my other documents, good old MKCAD, and remember you can access those in the public or in there. I can just find my sim motor, and there are assemblies with this, so let's just have a look if there's a sim motor assembly. Doesn't look like there is, unfortunately. That's too bad. So we'll pick the sim motor, we'll insert that, and I'm going to use the Revolute mate right there. And the reason I'm flipping it is because I can now add another Revolute mate. On this one, and I think I'll be able to lock everything in place so that it fits the way I want it to. And there you go. So that works. I'll add the motor for this and start adding my bolts and things. And just like that, I've got my gearbox. So I will be saving that and we'll finish this at a later time. So thank you very much.